Hi, Terrence here, and I'm going to show you how to set some of the various settings with your dial on your camera. Now, this here is a Canon 5D Mark II. Most of the Canon series are going to be very similar, and Nikon will be not too far off as well, but might be slightly different. First thing I'll do is I'll turn on the camera, and what you want to do is this will click usually two ways. It'll be on, well, there's a first position on, and then a second further on. I always use the further one because it enables you to have more control with the dial shuttle here for some of the features. Otherwise, it shouldn't make that much of a difference for you. If you look at your camera, the dial is up on the top left-hand side most times. You have multiple settings you could adjust to. So if you're trying to adjust to shutter speed priority, you actually want TV on a Canon. And on Nikon, it's typically S. For aperture priority, you want to set it to AV on a Canon. It's typically A on a Nikon camera. And if you're going to do manual, you want to change it to M for both Canon and Nikon. Now if I go back a few steps, if you look here on the display, what you're going to see is the different settings. So on the shutter speed priority, we've got the speed set there as 30, so that's 1/30th of a second. If I roll the shuttle up here on the near the trigger, near the shutter release, you can see it's increasing. So we're getting a faster and faster shutter speed. That's 1/640th of a second. That's 1/2000th of a second, 1/5000th of a second. So very, very fast. You'd use that for very fast motion photography and in very, very bright light conditions. If you go the other direction, you're starting to get slower, so probably 1/40 to 1/30th of a second. I would recommend not doing handheld. If you have a good IS on your lens, maybe you can, and you can go a little lower, but I wouldn't go too much further than that. Definitely around 1/15th, 1/13th lower. Definitely want to have it stabilized on a tripod or resting on some flat surface. And when you get to a section where it has the quotes, you're now talking in seconds. So the 0 quote 3 is 0.3 seconds, 0.4 seconds, 0.5, 0.6, and now you're in full solid seconds. So in this mode, with the one with the two quotes, your shutter is going to be open for 1 full second. Definitely a tripod's needed, and you have to have the right conditions for using that kind of aperture. And you can keep on going to 30 seconds of open exposure. If you move to the aperture priority, you'll notice that the number on the other side is now on the screen. This is showing the aperture size. It's set right now to f4. This is the smallest aperture on this lens, or smallest f-stop. And as you've probably read in my ebook, the lower the f-stop, the wider the aperture. And when an aperture is wider, more light gets in, but you have more depth of field. Meaning, you have shallower depth of field, meaning your subject is in focus, but background and foreground are blurry. Great for portrait shots at this level, and if you're doing some landscape, it's not too bad if you need to get a lot of light in. As you move your dial to the right, you're going to start narrowing your shutter. So it's f-stop 8, for example, f11. And a lot of cameras, typically DSLRs, go to f22. That's going to be very little light coming in, but it's going to be very detailed and consistent depth of field between foreground, background, and subject. And is really great for landscape shots if you have the right lighting, or if you have a tripod and you could have it sit there, take a slightly longer exposure. But even with landscapes, you're probably going to have some movement in your scene from just very minimal wind that's going to blow trees around or leaves or whatever it might be. So use this cautiously if you're going to f22. The other setting, manual, means I can now control both of those when I'm doing more artistic shots and I know what I need to do. This comes to when I've set the on-off button to the final spot. You'll need to use this dial and this dial. The one by the shutter release will actually control the speed, so you can see it's going 1/60th, 1/100th, 1/250th, etc. shutter speed. And this one, if I move this and I'll show you, I'm actually changing the aperture. So I'll use those two in the second on mode when I have it in manual to get the settings that I want, and I could use that to take the desired results. Hopefully you found this very helpful, and check out my other videos or go to my my website, photography123.com. Thanks and have a good day.